and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I had a very abusive childhood. My stepdad was a Hell's Angel, and so my mother gave me to him as a wedding present. So for 10 years, I was violated continually by him and his biker buddies. So for me coming to prison, as crazy as it sounds like, prison was my safe place. We were told, like, this is what's happened, and it's not going to change, and we're not asking your opinion. So we brought up what our concerns were and stuff, and we were told, don't worry, none of them are going to be members of security threat groups. None of them are going to have crimes against women. None of them are going to be above a level 2. They're going to be having surgeries and be on hormones and all of this stuff. And then once they've been here, almost all of them are members of security threat groups. A large majority of them have crimes against women or children, and they're level 4s. They're very honest once they get here. They'll say, I've been down all this time, I've exhausted all my appeals, I'm never going home, and excuse my language, but they say, we just want pussy. And so that's what we've been dealing with. I came home from my job, and one of the men was in my room. He just happened to be a long-haired white man, which is what my abusers were all. It was a very, very difficult situation for me. He went out into private conversation out in the day room, sat down with him and was like, explained to him, like, the girls are very uncomfortable with you in the room. But I told him, like, I am a victim of abuse, and I'm not a man-hater, but he's very, very uncomfortable. And he was like, I would be uncomfortable if I was you as well, so I'm going to move. Well, he was great. Well, then he decided that he wasn't going to move. And it was I have nightmares. I have PTSD from my abuse, so I have nightmares and stuff. But they come and go. My nightmares were exacerbated when I could sleep. It was very hard for me to sleep. I didn't want to take a shower. I didn't want to use the bathroom. I felt very, it was like a state of panic. But I dealt with it, as well as I could. I found out he was from the same town that I'm from, a little small town in San Diego, like a little opposite. And so I asked him if he knew where the clubhouse was, which is where all my abuse happened. And he knew exactly where it was, and that was like his hangout spot. I know he wasn't one of my abusers because he's only like 7 years older than me, but there's like a 97% chance that you were there in the building or even the room while I was being raped and stuff. I feel like even being sentenced to prison was easier than having to deal with that. After 3 weeks, he exposed himself to the roommate when I wasn't there. We have special housing units in prison. We have the honor dorm, which is you have to be figures right at free, and then we have the RPUs, which is kind of like a pre-honor dorm. You have to be 6 months right at free. So when my roommates went up and reported to the staff that he had exposed himself, they moved him to the RPU, the pre-honor dorm. So you got rewarded for your bad behavior. Once he was in here, he choked out one of his roommates and beat up the other one. They went and reported it. The alarm got pushed, everything. And they rewarded him by moving him into the honor dorm in his girlfriend's room. It's ridiculous. I am not scared to speak out because, there's nothing worse that you can do to me. Almost everybody in the state has some kind of connection to somebody who's incarcerated. We have such a huge population. So this may not be your sister or your daughter or your wife or your mom or whatever, but it's somebody that you know, family member, that is trying to heal and trying to see you're paying the price for the crime you did. So you're not able to get the rehabilitation and change you need because it's really like a fight or flight, like your survival. You're just trying to get to your parole date without getting raped. And on the other side, these men are supposed to be getting rehabilitated as well. And when they're being enabled to be predators, they're not rehabilitating. Honestly, someone in here is going to end up getting killed. I mean, people are already getting raped and nobody cares. I believe everybody has the right to be safe. And if you guys are truly being abused and in prison, then you should have a yard for you to be able to go to where you're safe. Your rights shouldn't be more important than my rights. Every one of us should have the right to be safe. Our sentence wasn't to be abused. We're supposed to be being rehabilitated. And so everybody's turned turn their back on us for all our concerns for things that happened. It's been very isolating, and it's a really horrible feeling to feel like powerlessness and isolation to the extreme of feeling it with this situation. It's a really ugly feeling. Even if I go home, you still living with people here, and this fight isn't something that's just going to end when I go out the gate. So I don't have fear in speaking up. My voice is my weapon, and I am not afraid to use it.